supports as well. I know I've seen him excel on support fiddlesticks sometimes, and where he has no business excelling on in certain games for that. But it's still a ban that at least Fnatic feels is valid in this situation, especially because Fnatic likes to play such a split-around playstyle. Thresh is one of those champions who can kind of create a lot of plays when you're not expecting him to, as well as having very strong level 1 action. So in that sense, the ban makes sense. And through all of this, no Twisted Fate ban.
Yeah, Twisted Fate has got through. So Jarvan and Zac, the final 2 bans coming through. So Jarvan taken away. We'll see whether Dexter actually go for Lee Sin. That sometimes is his fallback champion, but right now it's Fnatic to make that first pick. What will they go with here?
They have so many options on the table. Ahri is something we talked a lot about. Twisted Fate is obviously still available. Those would be like the 2 high priority things right now for them.
There is Ahri. Ahri getting selected in there, so has managed to sneak through. That also means that actually I don't think Twisted Fate will come out from Lemondogs, because it's not a great pick against Ahri, I don't feel.
No, but it's also not a great pick against Fizz, and that was successful. Whereas Fizz is actually a very good pick against Ahri.
Yeah.
I wonder if Fnatic is just kind of saying, you guys think you're great at Fizz, everyone's banning Fizz against you, we don't respect it at all, because they've kind of picked 2 counters like right away, saying, just daring Nukeduck to play it.
And there is the Lee Sin pick, so Dexter has fallen back to Lee Sin, and of course that's going to take it away from Cyanide. Kennen also being picked once again, that will be Zorozero in that top lane. Or will it be? It could be Nukeduck. We've seen a lot of, it's funny, we saw a lot, like Kennen had completely moved to that mid lane for a while, and now he's back in the top.
May as well just stroll on up there. I think it's just because there's been so many kind of tank melees that have became up top lane. Kennen can then survive again up there strongly. For a while, we were seeing a lot more Rise in the top lane, which wasn't necessarily what Kennen wanted to play against. And Aatrox, that's such a, I feel like it's a European thing right now.
I've had so many people from other regions saying, why is all of Europe just playing Aatrox? But to be honest, you look at Aatrox in the EG Gambit game, everyone that had Aatrox won.
Huge impact in a lot of these games so far for these guys. The way they're using specifically his passive to just really screw with people, every time it seems to be up, and it's on a pretty long cooldown. I think it's 4 to 4.5 minutes. It seems to always be up when these guys are playing it, because their timing there initiates very well around it.
And it's generally been the fallback champion. Cyanide played it a number of times during the Super Week. Zyra also getting picked out by their YellOwStaR. We could see Ashe to follow that Zyra-Ashe combo they used in the last match and has been used to great success all across the world. Twisted Fate was locked in, so Nukeduck thought, you know what, I am going to use Twisted Fate, you're not going to take it, we're going to make use of it. And Lulu being picked as the support by Mithy.
I'm a little excited to see Nukeduck's take on Twisted Fate now, right after sOAZ had such a good game on it. I almost feel like he's kind of throwing down the gauntlet by picking Twisted Fate at this point, since he knows it's a tough game for him against Ahri, and it's really just his turn to show off.
It's interesting that they've used the AD carry as their last pick, which we're pretty sure will be Caitlyn. I think they knew that was going to happen. So, I mean, they kind of showed their hand with Twisted Fate very earlier there. They could have left it as their last pick. Again, it's going to be, again, sOAZ on Yorick.
He liked the matchup last game against Kennen. He's confident doing this one again. And if it's going to be anything like last match, he's just going to be cloning Cyanide and giving Aatrox a third life occasionally, which can make him a little bit more effective for sustaining in team fights.
Let's keep him alive that little bit longer. This is a switch up though. Looks like Lemondogs again. You know what? The Sona lane didn't work out too great with the Caitlyn Sona lane, despite the fact they had a pretty good CS advantage for a very decent portion of that lane phase.
Yeah.
Looks like they're going to choose to go across towards Tabzz. Tabzz and Mithy going to go towards Twitch and Lulu. We're seeing Mithy on the screen right now, just waiting for the final decision from his team. He is a big talker in that team. Yeah,
even though the whole team, as he has said before, contributes to their tactical decisions, we've heard these guys talk before. And Mithy, he's being humble when he says those
opinionated,
things.
I think it's
He's
safe
opinionated,
to say.
And he's also a facilitator of a lot of things. So even if other people have their own thoughts on champions, he's always going to be asking them for it, pinging them constantly, and making everyone think about these things.
Making Fnatic think about that Twitch for a long period of time, and then switching it to Vayne at the last minute. So Vayne, Lulu going to be that bottom lane. Will they go for the 2v1 this time against sOAZ?
I feel like if they're doing Vayne Lulu, they're probably thinking about the 2v1. The Lulu is a bit of a curious pick here, and it makes more sense when they pick the Vayne because they need to necessarily protect him in his mobile state, just because Vayne isn't one of those people who you can build protection around. Vayne needs protection as she goes in, so you need to build a lot of shields for that. Because you normally don't pick Lulu unless you have a strong tank or a melee, but Vayne kind of fits that shell. not sure how the rest of Lemondogs is going to be working against Fnatic, who almost has the same style comp they had last game.
I'm interested why Zorozero has also decided to choose to stick with the Kennen instead of the Vladimir, which has been a great success for him.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with just initiation potential. They had trouble initiating last game. They don't even have Jarvan this time. Their initiation is even lower. If he went with Vladimir, essentially it would just be Nukeduck chasing people down, trying to find fights. I think that's the reason they went with Kennen.
If you have just joined us, ladies and gentlemen, you can see we are live from GamesCom. Big crowd stretching way back in the halls here for this final of the European LCS Playoffs. Just look at that shot. You can see everybody's faces staring this way, looking towards it. Camera's just to the side, guys. I know you're looking at the big screen, but there is so many of you guys all supporting the teams. And obviously, we just heard from Snoopy just saying, you know, get behind these teams. This is going to be the European contenders as they go across the pond to United States of America and Los Angeles. We've already seen a number of teams qualified. If you haven't been kept up to speed, Mineski were the first team to get through there. Of course, from the Philippines, actually representing the Southeast Asian regions. They beat out Singapore Sentinels in that final. The second team to get through, when it was Gaming Gear EU, the Lithuanians, they got through the International Wildcard Tournament, worked out very well for them. We've also seen the day one was, of course, Fnatic and Lemondogs of the European LCS Playoffs. They got into the semi-final. That means they are there in the Season 4. Then Najin Blacksword, they've qualified through Korea through the point system because they won the OGN Spring Champions, gave them a big point difference, despite the fact they've been off the boil for the last few months. And of course, finally today, Gambit, they are now through. So they are 3 European teams as well as the rest of the world. North America, well, it's going to be all happening in PAX just next week for you, Jan. Absolutely. You're going to be there. You're going to have a busy old week, of course. We'll see what 3 teams join them. But right now, Game 2 underway, Fnatic 1-0 up. They were the Spring Champions. Can they be the Summer Champions and take the #1 seed for Europe to the World Finals? Lemondogs, of course, this young upstart team that came through the promotion series. They are top of the league, but can they be top of the playoffs?
Well, they're down 1-0 so far against Fnatic, and they need to make some plays in this one, knowing that they're part of that elite club right now that are going to be going to the World Championship. Has to give them some nice confidence going in, but of all those teams, they are very close to having the least experience. All these other guys have played on giant stages before, whereas Lemondogs, this is their biggest stage right now, and it's only going to get bigger for them. So practice here and some confidence, if they can become the European champions, will go a long way.
It's been an interesting journey for these guys through that battle promotion against All Authority. Were swept aside 3-0, and then at DreamHack, the cheers, the Nukeduck happened. He was effectively a superstar in Scandinavia, in Sweden, despite the fact, I believe he's a Norwegian. He was definitely very popular over there, but we are seeing an invade from both teams. So Lemondogs going for the blue buff of Fnatic. Fnatic themselves going for the blue buff of Lemondogs. So even trade at the start here. No craziness, no defensive fights. Simply both pink wards, ironically. It's simply a mirror right there.
No tomfoolery happening at level 1 here for these guys. And even Mithy as well, as you're mentioning some of the experience Lemondogs has had. He was a huge fan favorite over in Tenerife when they had that tournament there. So each one of these guys has their own little bits of stardom, but nothing compared to what they're going to experience if they make some noise at the World Championships.
So, as it is, despite the fact they've been voted out, 23 of the 28 matches they played, they didn't get voted in. So far, Fnatic were, what, about 63% favourites in this one. They are 1-0 up, so maybe the fans are going to be correct for this time around. We'll see if that works out for them. Lemondogs, though, looking to go for an invade in the top lane. Dexter with these double buffs on Lee Sin going in.
And it's a level 1 sOAZ right now. We saw a backfired 3v1 dive in the Gambit game where Darian was able to hold off. And this could be a very aggressive dive. He has hit level 2, but if Tabzz gets any type of stun into Dexter, it could work. But they have to go fast because Cyanide is closing in behind them.
Yeah, the last minion is about to go down. We see the giant wave coming in. Cyanide will close the gap, though. Dark Path will be available. Condemn sOAZ onto wall, but look at Cyanide. The moment he shows up, they all back away from this one, and they're putting good damage down on towards Dexter. Has to force the flash away. Cyanide's going to flash and follow. He may be able to get first blood here. No, the E doesn't land. They switch back towards Mithy. Dark Path will be back available, but Cyanide's now taking low. Remember, he's passive. He's going to get popped. Tabzz is going to be waiting around. He jumps out, finish run. Dexter follows on through. Safeguards back to Dexter, and that is going to be Lemondogs with first blood.
Well, there are those Lee Sin plays coming in from Dexter. He knew Cyanide was going to be jumping immediately, so he made sure to follow, and Zorozero's going down.
He's going to get taken off. It's going to be Puszu that finishes this one off. sOAZ taking more damage in that bottom lane, of course, in the top lane sOAZ, but action all across the board here.
Yeah, and check out that Q spinning around to go around the corner and finish off Cyanide. That is cool looking, is all I have to say. And for how hard they worked and the plays they had to make to get that kill, to give it all away, really, and die in a 2v1 on the other side just evens the game, and it's got to be a little disappointing for Lemondogs.
I think it not only evens the game, actually Fnatic put more pressure on towards the tower there. Nukeduck had also made a journey up the river as well, but we do see he's putting pressure on towards xPeke at the moment, throwing out those cards and keeping him at bay. That's going to be such a volatile exchange, I feel, in that mid lane. sOAZ taking those silver bolts, proccing out the damage, and Puszu continues to push this bottom lane. Zorozero returns back in there after his first death. Does manage to go back, only got himself a singular ward, because simply put, the two top laners have been punished heavily at the start of this game.
That lane for Zorozero has started very poorly. Yes, Zyra Ashe is a difficult 2v2 to lane against, but Kennen, with his range, should be able to keep safe in those situations, and now that his back is actually covered with wards, no one can really help him. At this point, Puszu and YellOwStaR get to punish them as much as they want.
Well, he has reasonable stats. 5-4-2, not the greatest, of course. Once he was the front-loaded man, he's going to be the one that goes in with that slicing Maelstrom and Zhonya Zagla, so we expect him to die once he goes in if the team fight goes south, which he did many times in game one. And this Zyra Ashe combo, Puszu and YellOwStaR, seems to be something that works for them. It's been used heavily by Cloud9 in the North American LCS for the last 9 weeks, and it seems that finally Europe's gone, you know what, that seems to work.
Making the rounds. It's an incredibly effective combo, not only because it can live early on in the lane, but because it creates team fights and it gives you a lot of safety. It's just so much of what you need, and both Ashe and Zyra create so much range and utility for your team, and it's obviously versatile as well. Look at how they've been able to punish Zorozero thus far.
Cyanide himself is punishing. He's taking away the wraiths from Dexter, while Dexter comes down to support Zorozero, because he needs that help at the moment. Did miss out on that siege mini as well. Nukeduck's got to be careful because Cyanide's coming around the side there. We've seen how much that dark flight can just get in towards there. The charm gets sidestepped though. Walks back in towards the turret. Spirit Rush used out. Good stun. xPeke is going to take 3 tower hits there. And Cyanide unable to help out and catch on.
And Nukeduck did the same thing xPeke did last game by starting with boots in that lane to more easily dodge potential skill shots here. That's one of the reasons he was able to juke out of that charm and fall back into his turret as quickly as he can to survive those ganks.
Zorozero, that tower is pretty low in that bottom lane, and Puszu is very close to hitting level 6. Condemn sOAZ on towards the wall there. The bolt's proccing off there. The damage forcing sOAZ back away from this one. Tabzz yet to hit level 6, so hasn't got an ultimate to put the damage down. So both perilous position right now of getting in towards 6. We do see Dexter though down that bottom lane, comes out to help Zorozero. So we're seeing the first back from Puszu and YellOwStaR.
And these are extended 2v1 lanes, which actually really hurt the top laners, or side laners as I like to call them, in most of these games. They spend so much time against 2 people, they get incredibly far behind on gold, as opposed to before some of the turret changes. If a turret went down to 3 or 4 minutes, top laner just starts farming up right after that, and it's kind of like no harm done for him, just a little bit of harm done for his team. This is much harder on Zorozero and sOAZ, since they've been in these lanes for so long. It's going to be on them to have to spend the time and recover.
Tabzz and Mithy stuck around in that top lane a lot longer to try and get that tower down while sOAZ was away. So that should be the first tower of the game falling down here. Nukeduck, meanwhile, back in that mid lane, gets himself a second Doran's Blade. But look at that, because they stayed in that top lane for so long, Fnatic, they've been back to buy, they've realized they've got a big advantage, they're taking Dragon for free.
Yeah, and after this, Fnatic may be able to take the turret, because YellOwStaR and Puszu have done such a good job in that bottom lane, kind of holding their own and dealing with Dexter, who's kind of set up shop in that bottom lane as well, just to support.
So, Dragon taken by 3 members of Fnatic. As you see in the mid lane, xPeke wasn't required to go and help that one. Gone for the Looks like Athene's an early grail to start with. Well, he's got, at least got the chalice to start it off, of course. Last game around, he went full on aggression. Interesting to see Nukeduck not going that route, not going for that needlessly large rod early on, getting the double Dorans and the amp tone.
It's a little interesting. He can still just build that into a Sheen and go kind of the same build that Peke did in the last game. He just didn't have the gold breakpoint that Peke did previously to go for that item. And Peke, you know, he's got a lot of jumps up right now, so this gank by Zorozero would have to basically come in after Peke goes aggressive.
Yeah, I think he was actually trying to bait Zorozero to come in there, using the charm on the Siegeman. He's like, I haven't got my charm anymore. I'm a vulnerable target.
What are you going to do? You could come and get me. I only have 3 dashes and a flash.
Only got all the aggression to turn this one around. Peke, by the way, we didn't mention that has got teleport, so he's going to be trying to keep track of Nukeduck, or go for the back door, of course. Put the pressure down this bottom lane is where their action is. Tabzz is going to get locked up. The plan's catching on. The barrier being used up. The good Stranglethorns comes out, tries to turn this one around. He's going to get away. No, he's not. YellOwStaR flashes in. Page through with his life, but a support and maybe another kill. The passive comes out. YellOwStaR taps him down, but trading that back in there. Puszu got took out as well. It was a double kill, both bottom lanes. Dexter having to use the kick to keep Cyanide away and flashes off.
So the supports traded double kills with each other, of all things. At least the AD carries got the assist, so that means they should spend it on wards and then come back to lane like a regular support would. But man, that actually went and showed a couple things. A, the power of the Ashe Zyra lane, being able to lock down Tabzz, but also why they brought Lulu with Vayne. Let's actually just take a look at this one more time, because it was an arrow into a Stranglethorns, but Tabzz actually tries to turn around and goes aggressive because of Mithy's stuff. More action happening up top.
Dexter going to get taken down. The Ignite from sOAZ doing work there, and actually 2 red buffs you can see from Cyanide and sOAZ. That was a hard, long work to kill, to take Dexter down. They've been chasing him for some time, so no surprise he gets on there. Zorozero taken very low. He's not going to be able to defend this turret here.
He's got to be extremely careful. The double buff sOAZ actually hasn't even shopped yet. Can't chase him very quickly, but they're able to deny him off the turret, and with that giant wave, unless Nukeduck goes up there to hold, which would be dangerous in himself, they're going to lose another turret.
So this lane combo, Lemondogs initiated the switch, of course. Tabzz and Mithy went in that top lane. Puszu condemned away from the damage this time around. They forced it up. They needed Vayne in that separate lane, but it has punished Zorozero. He's way behind in CS on sOAZ, and as you said, sOAZ hadn't even been back to chop yet. He was happy to just sit there against Mithy and Tabzz and just farm up.
And if we remember the very start of the game where Zorozero died in that 1v2, even though they were both in a similar lane situation, Zorozero was definitely behind in experience, even if it didn't show in farm. So once he rolled up there, you can see it really displayed even stronger now. sOAZ is level 9, Zorozero is just now level 6, probably going to hit 7 off that giant wave. It's another reason he fell so far behind with that initiated lane swap.
So it also means Tabzz is going to have a lot of pressure on him from the late game to carry through this one on that Vayne. It is possible with a Vayne, of course, even against an Ashe. And Ashe is all about the initiation, but Peke, I feel, will be targeting Tabzz pretty heavily. That may give Nukeduck the time and the freedom, though, when the team fights happen.
Yeah, the team fights in this game are going to be very, very skill intensive in a sense, because Tabzz is going to want to be kind of trying to slip past Peke. A lot of times Vayne's like to play around the sides of fights, and he can't dodge that arrow, so that's not a good start.
Stranglethorns is going to catch them both as well. Tabzz tries to turn it around, uses that condemned wild growth back on towards him, but they simply haven't got the damage. He's going to try and gamble back away. No, the hawk shot used by Puszu gets him that vision. He may be able to get the second kill here. No, he's going to see the volley. That's not going to land, but coming around the side, Cyanide is going to dive on in, take that tower hit damage, and he gets the kill and the tower as well. Fnatic in control of that bottom lane.
They are looking good so far in this game. All the lanes are actually going their way. Surprisingly, Peke is the only one thus far to not make a huge impact. Let's take a look at this fight one more time. Tabzz couldn't get out of range of the Ashe arrow, and then he also got locked up by the Zyra ultimate. Even though he tried to make a run into the brush, YellOwStaR was there with the clutch ward, and it just basically allowed Fnatic to finish off that one. They got such a great jump on the Vayne Lulu. Even though they wouldn't straight up out DPS them, all the crowd control allowed them to have the upper hand.
So Infinity Edge now already complete by Puszu. 13.5 minutes into this game. That is a pretty early IE.
Yeah, 5,200 gold in total on him. It's actually 1,400 ahead of Tabzz right now. That matchup is swinging heavily in his favor. Also, the top lane matchup, sOAZ dominating Zorozero, and they're using all these advantages now to take their two strongest people and push up the mid lane.
And that mid lane is under pressure. Tabzz is back down this bottom. He's trying to keep that farm going. He has got a good farm. Let's not take that away from him. But the fact that, like you say, that gold is the kills and the assists is stacking heavily in Puszu's favor. YellOwStaR, he's been the man creating those plays, creating everything. And of course, we've got to look at towards these two because YellOwStaR used to be the AD carry. That's going to be the mid lane turret for Fnatic. That's the third outer turret of the game. So everything down in the outer lanes, and that is going to be start pushing. Fnatic going to be looking to take control. Dragon, of course, will be spawning, which they did take. They will know the exact timer on that one.
And this is exactly how Fnatic wants to play. You just saw there were 4 of them in the mid lane, whereas xPeke was getting an edge on farm. Now, can xPeke deal with Nukeduck on the side? He gets jumped on. Is he going to try to just... He's going to dash away.
He's just going to teleport away because that stun was already used. Gets away from that one. So, Mithy got caught out. No doubt about that one.
Yep.
When a Lulu gets caught, he's going to die pretty quick.
Yeah, that was just YellOwStaR having the vision control, and they're trying to take as many advantages as possible from having these 3 outer turrets down. Once Fnatic does this, they're able to catch around the corners here and initiate whenever they want.
And just bounce him up and down. The arrow comes through from Puszu, finds his target. Dexter goes down. Nukeduck comes in with his destiny, just simply trying to stop him in his tracks. Cyanide is actually pretty low. They could turn this one back on towards him. He has got that blood well available. It's going to get used. That's the passive going down. Slicing out from Zorozero, just simply used defensively. They did take down the passive of Cyanide, but they lost yet another.
Yeah, the 4 of Fnatic right now are destroying the other 4 of Lemondogs because Nukeduck and xPeke haven't really been involved. 0-0-0 across both of those guys, but the rest of Fnatic is just crushing, being able to take down this Dragon as well.
5,000 gold advantage stretches to 6 as the Dragon goes down. Big lead by Fnatic here in game 2. They're 1-0 up already, and they are looking so strong. They said they were going to play aggressive, and they were not lying. They have 8 kills to 3 right now, 3-1 in turrets, and they are starting to split push early. They are starting to keep that pressure on. The Fiends and Holy Grail has been completed by xPeke. He's already shown his hand. He's continuing to keep that pressure going. Question is, how will it work between xPeke and Nukeduck? How will these power switches go? Because the Lich Bane has been completed by Nukeduck.
Yeah, Nukeduck is going to need a little bit more before he can really take on xPeke, but xPeke's in full farm mode right now, and we can see that because of all the magic resist he's built and the fact that he went for Mercury Tread. So he's actually sitting at 95 MR right now. He's not actually turning himself into Assassinari until quite some time from now based on that start. Mana regeneration and cooldown reduction from his Unholy Grail and a little bit of tenacity from those Mercury Treads is just making him split push. Talked a bit earlier about, or haven't talked earlier about the way xPeke farms. He almost always has the highest farm in the game, not necessarily because he dominates his opponents in lane, but because the team uses him as that side lane shover the whole game. He's pushing up the side lane right now. He's going back to base. He pinged another wave. Guess where he's going next with those home guard boots? It's his job right now to just keep the lane shoved while the rest of Fnatic's crew plays the rest of the game. It's actually putting Lemondogs in a very difficult situation because they can't keep pace with his home guard boots coming out and pushing all the other lanes, whereas the other Lemondogs are free to go wherever they, or Fnatic are free to go wherever they want.
Yeah, they're actually doing like a 2-2-1 split push, as it were. They can see that in that mid lane was Puszu and Cyanide, keeping every single lane pressured. So as he's not going back, he's sitting in that tri-bush. He's ready and waiting to go straight back on towards Zorozero. YellOwStaR also laying in wait. So they're actually trying to set a trap in that bottom lane right now.
Yeah, they're hoping that Zorozero gets a little antsy thanks to all their lanes being permanently shoved back. But they're not doing that right now. They actually recognize that they are extremely far down in this game and they need a little bit more time. Nukeduck probably needs either a Zhonya's, a Deathfire Grasp, or a Rabadon's Death Cap before he can make any type of significant impact, especially because sOAZ is already kind of tanked up. Spirit Visage, this early in the game, means he can basically just run at people. He didn't even go for the Manamune early on in this game. He's just going full tank for the most part. Even Cyanide is actually going fairly tanky. It's really just Fnatic's giant lead is turning themselves actually into somewhat defensive items, which is going to make them slightly immovable, and it more shows that Fnatic is looking for objectives right now and the inability for Lemondogs to push them off.
Inability. Zorozero has actually regained a little bit of farm. You can see how far behind he was on sOAZ, but as you mentioned, sOAZ is just that giant tank. And now the arrow gets fired off, catches on towards Zorozero, hasn't got that Sonya's hourglass yet, so he's just going to get melted down. Stranglethorn's used perfectly. That's going to be Puszu. He went in, he's actually being kicked into
He's okay with that.
Yeah, he's not mine. He's going to try and get in there. They want to get the damage on towards Mithy. xPeke comes in, should finish him off. One more hit does it, but now the xPeke is going to get taken down. The Silver Bolts comes in. Tabzz gets himself a kill. Puszu tries to turn this one around. A number of French champions come in there. The barrier gets used out. Puszu is safe. No. He lives just about.
He is so close right now to going down, and that was just a very aggressive move by Fnatic. It's that danger turret right there that they were able to dive. Once they got the arrow through, there's so much space between the other two turrets that allows this dive to happen. Cyanide obviously combos amazingly with the Ashe arrow at first, which gets rid of most of Lemondog's counter dive. And then Dexter actually kicks Ashe into the safest place Puszu could be right now, as he's able to take down Lulu. And then we saw, as Nukeduck gets involved near the end, at the very tail end of that fight, xPeke isn't doing much damage. It took him all 3 dashes just to take out Lulu, but it was still enough.
The irony was, that was a 5-2-5, 5-1-5 YellOwStaR that just got taken down. There was a 500 gold shutdown bonus there for Nukeduck.
That could be a problem.
Could be a problem. Oh, the arrow lands. Zorozero. The charm is going to be the easiest one that xPeke's ever thrown out, and it's Puszu that gets fed the kill. Now Mithy's in trouble. Spirit Rush still available. It's going to have another charge on towards Mithy. There goes the charm. It's another one given across. This time xPeke will take it.
Yeah, not much Mithy can do about that, as he just tried to help Zorozero a little bit and then recognized, that's an Ashe and an Ahri that are coming after me. Extremely difficult for you to get away from if you're playing a Lulu. And yeah, that's a lot of kills that YellOwStaR has been able to pick up so far this game. Now that we have some time to speak about it, he hopefully is going there now for a Mikhail's Crucible, which is one of the most common items we've seen lately. That'll potentially save Ashe, or most likely Ashe, if Nukeduck decides to try and assassinate or at least get on him later in the game. As soon as that stun card lands, he'd be able to clear the stun off of Puszu for him to allow him to just fight back and kill Nukeduck.
We talked about the advantage that Puszu had gained over Tabzz. He's now got a full item ahead. Sonic Shift completed, and that was before the fight, so I feel like he's going to have quite a bit of gold stacking up right now. xPeke's continuing that split push out there. Look at that gold difference. Holy moly. 2,500 gold split between the AD carries. That is not what you'd like to see. The jungler, in fact, Cyanide's got 1,000 gold over Dexter.
These are big-time gold totals, and we got a 6,200, 300 gold support, by the way. He was about 1,600 more gold than Zorozero. Carry Zara, but really,
he's got almost as much gold as sOAZ.
Yeah, that's a lot of money right there. But then look at Nukeduck, actually, who's the only one keeping up in gold. He's gotten 888 gold from his loaded dice passive, which is really the only reason Nukeduck seems like he's keeping pace with xPeke right now. Lemondogs needs a lot of help in this game because Fnatic is beating them much worse than they did in Game 1, where Fnatic had a fair bit of control.
Remember, this is for a seeding in the World Championships. Those group stages, with a double round robin, it is going to be a torrid time for these teams. And remember, Europe, they don't get that bye. They don't get that push through just because, ironically, of the performance they had at the YellOwStars, which none of these players unfortunately took part in. It was
sOAZ
was in there. Yes, sOAZ did actually. And of course, well, he's the 1v1 champion of the world for how much that tournament actually meant to him. But xPeke, he steals away that blue buff. The Dragon was also picked up by Fnatic. That's the third one of the game for them. And it also stretches that gold lead to just around about 8,000 right now. They are continuing their split push, but look at the bottom, top.
There's a chance that we're going to see some action here. Again, xPeke is going off to deal with Tabzz, but Fnatic has been willing to dive before. That was when they had xPeke with them, so there's a chance that xPeke is going to push off Vayne and then maybe try and teleport in about 20 seconds or so. We have to see if that sets up.
He clears out the wave. Tabzz has ran a mile. They're not going to close the gap down. Tabzz is sticking around. Sticking around because I reckon he thought xPeke was probably going to do exactly what you just said, and instead he waits around. He's not going to back off because he feels, obviously the calls come out from the team, the Lemondogs, we can hold this wave. You can see the wildcards, they're doing good wave clear. Zorozero with those Shurikens trying to catch out. Dexter, Nukeduck
Oh, they caught him!
in. They've got it in. They're just going to melt him down. Hasn't got that Zonya's hourglass, so he just gets dropped. That slicing Maelstrom. Cyanide does get knocked in towards the turret, but it's only going to pop his passive. I don't believe it's going to be enough to finish it off. The teleport comes in. xPeke joins the party, and now it is going to be Lemondogs that get melted. Dexter with nothing. Tabzz comes in. He's desperately trying to keep them away. xPeke smells a juicy target, doesn't manage to land the charm.
Still a 3-for-1 for Fnatic, and they land one thing. It's all they need for everyone else to just pile on. They got the grasping roots on a Nukeduck to the arrow, and that just initiated the dive. And can they ever dive well?
Amazing, amazing stuff. So it was a 3-for-1 after all. It was YellOwStaR that did get taken down. xPeke taking a scratch in his head. Let's look at this again.
Yeah, of course, root to arrow to knock up, and it ended up getting Dexter as well because he ended up trying to shield in to help. It meant the Lulu wall didn't necessarily have a priority, and then look at xPeke just flying in there. Just dash as soon as his teleport goes off, gets a quick double kill. He's got his DFG now, by the way, so his damage is starting to ramp up, and his farm is there as well.
And Nukeduck, meanwhile, he's desperately trying to get that second item in there. Rabadon's death cap, it seems, rather than the Zonya's hourglass, which would have saved his life, and all of the heartache for the Lemondog fans there, as the Fnatic seem to be pushing on through. Big gold differences right now. It is 9,500 gold, 5-1 into it, 16-6. And now in the top lane, Nukeduck is going to get away with that destiny.
Yeah, he saw a lot of bad guys coming for him right there. And luckily for him, the first bad guy was York, who was not able to interrupt him. But this is another solid game sOAZ has played on York, by the way.
Tabzz is playing a dangerous game in this bottom lane. He's feeling confident against xPeke. He's going for it. The charm lands in there. He does manage to get the damage down. Tabzz tries to turn it back on towards him, and xPeke forced the flash away there from Tabz's vein.
It's because xPeke's went with such an MR-heavy build, Tabzz can actually attack him fairly strongly. But that also leaves them open. Again, this 4-man squad of Fnatic has done so well all game. Thought they were going to go with that Stranglethorn, but instead they're just poking around. Yeah,
good Stranglethorns nevertheless. Does manage to pop all three members. Nukeduck sneaking around the side, trying to get a poke in there. Zorozero not feeling aggressive enough to get in and slicing Maelstrom across the team. It has gone horribly wrong for him the last few times. Last Whisper was picked up by Puszu, by the way. His item build continues to be miles ahead of Tabzz, which is why we're seeing Tabzz just farming, desperately trying to play the catch-up game. He's got the same CS, but obviously in kills, not even close. That is going to be Tabzz to pick it up a kill, though, on YellOwStaR.
Yeah, YellOwStaR has been dying a lot recently. He got a little greedy, I think, with his 5-kill start, and now he's just being the one with the Oracles trying to clear around, but I don't think the team is spotting him very well. sOAZ probably needs to be leading the way if they're going within Lemondogs' jungle, especially with a Vayne on the loose. So they have to be a little more cautious as this moves on. Let's actually check out how he just gets caught. Nukeduck and Vayne just found him as he was trying to clear a ward. Simple as that.
Straight up stun card, and we saw the Nukeduck was hanging around that side there. That was maybe a lack of ward coverage, which potentially YellOwStaR was probably trying to do. It's just got caught out. Tabzz, though, continuing to try and keep up. He's actually come for that Negatron's cloak, realizing that he is probably going to be fighting xPeke in split lanes.
And xPeke is now just trying to go for the full damage build. He's going to have to find a way to deal with Tabzz, actually. Because xPeke can shove faster than Tabzz can, but if Tabzz outduels xPeke, it's going to really mess up the plans of Fnatic's 4-man team that they like to roam with. Even though I actually feel like Fnatic's at a point right now where they can just 5-man group and go for it.
Certainly could. Puszu up 5-1-8 has a massive amount of damage, attack speed. Everything that could land will hurt. Tabzz is going to have a problem closing that gap. Puszu again starts to put damage on towards that tower. The charm did find on towards Tabzz and actually pulled them heavily in towards them, but Puszu, he's just focused on doing the damage to the turret.
That was so much damage from Nukeduck just from one Q from xPeke. It's sending him all the way back to base. And then he'll be back again real fast because he's TF with home guard boots. But it still means they have to be scared of the damage potential of Fnatic. We've seen if they land one Grasping Roots, maybe even a charm in the right spot, they can just combo. It's all about getting it on the right target for them before they go in. There's another charm, and and an arrow.
That's going to be Nukeduck surely going down. Safeguard comes out from Dexter. Dexter feeling the full effect though, and just gets dropped. Nukeduck has to run, and he's taken down. That's going to be a double. We see Peke taking down Tabzz. That's both damage dealers for Lemondogs. There's nothing they can do about this defense now.
And that is just Fnatic grouping up as 5 because they sensed how strong they were and waiting for the catch. They got it. It gave them 2 kills plus the inhibitor.
They try to engage on
Surrender.
Dexter. It is going to be a surrender from the Lemondogs. Wow, that is going to be Fnatic in full control. 2-0 up. They are 1 game away from being the Summer Split champions, the playoff champions, and of course, more importantly, the #1 seed for Europe going into the World Championships.
Yeah, now they have to lose 3 in a row in order to not win this one. They're feeling very confident right now. It's kind of sitting back, calm discussion. That was about as smooth of a win as they can have right now. Only 28 minutes. You could see Lemondogs not that pleased with the way this is going. They weren't even really moving after that game ended. And I guess that's what you do when you surrender. You're in discussion mode already because you've decided the game is over.
Yeah, I think once that team fight had finished, they'd already started talking about what are we going to do next, because this didn't work. We said at the start they were kind of baiting in towards that Twisted Fate. They banned out Ari a number of times. This time they let it through, and Peke kind of proved this is a big deal, but
yeah,
it's more importantly, it was YellOwStaR and Puszu in that bottom lane.
I have to say, this, even though at the end Peke ended up with 6 kills, he basically just went even with Nukeduck right there. He stopped Nukeduck from being able to kind of take over Twisted Fate, which was nice, but it was the other 4 people of Fnatic who generally don't get that much credit because it's usually all about Peke, who were making everything happen. YellOwStaR would land a root. sOAZ was super tanky considering he was giving up all of his farm essentially past 20 minutes of the game to Peke, still making a large impact with Yorick. Really a team effort there by Fnatic. Everyone but Peke making most of the plays.
Confident plays from Fnatic. We are going to send it over to